Thank you all for coming. Welcome, Mayor Duggan, Councilmember Young, Principal Rogers, and fellow guests. On behalf of Joe Heafy, Stacy Fox, and our respective teams at Ethos Development Partners and the Roxbury Group, I want to thank you all for coming out on this cold afternoon to mark just not an important moment in the long-awaited redevelopment of the Lee Plaza, but also a significant milestone in Detroit's remarkable story of rebirth. As recently as a decade ago, Detroit had the dubious distinction of being home to dozens of long vacant high-rises. Buildings with names like Whitney, Book, Bell, Metropolitan, Broderick, Stott, and of course, the Michigan Central. In just 10 short years, we have seen all of those irreplaceable landmarks and many others restored. And today we stand at the precipice of restoring what is arguably the city's last forsaken tower. Well, all of these amazing restorations had in common is at least one person from beginning to end who believed in the idea that that project represented and was single-minded in his or her determination to see it through. In a moment, we'll hear from some of the key people who helped make this day possible. But I first have the honor of introducing the one man whose determination to seeing this building given back to the people of the city of Detroit can only be described as relentless. I believe it was back in 2018 when Mayor Duggan and I first spoke about the Lee Plaza, and it was clear from the outset he was not going to take "can't be done" for an answer. So in that spirit, our teams joined the fray to lay out precisely the extraordinary support this project would need to bring this vision of a restored Lee Plaza to life. And at every step of the journey over the past 3 years, Mayor Duggan has said, "Get it done," when other people would have said, "Can't be done." And while we have much work left to do in the next several months before we can swing hammers in this remarkable building, we stand here today to celebrate achieving the milestones of securing key LIHTC support from MSHDA and a critical grant of ARPA funding, which when combined with the other tools we will bring to bear, will make this project happen this year. So it is no exaggeration to say that this would have not occurred without the leadership and determination of one man in this room. And so I give you the patron saint of the Lee Plaza, Mayor Mike Duggan.
Thank you, David. This day has been a long time coming. You're the first visitors to this building in 25 years. That's how long it's been vacant. And I came through here shortly after I was elected, and this was on the demolition list. And I said, this building is too beautiful. It's got to be saved. But it's been a long struggle. The city of Detroit took the property over from the Detroit Housing Commission in 2017. The Housing Commission had no resources, no means to do anything with it except knock it down. And then we spent $1 million securing the exterior windows and the roof to preserve it, because we said, we're not knocking this down. We're going to find a partner. It's a similar strategy we employed with the train station, where we required the Maroons by contract to spend $1 million to put windows in the train station. People said to them, why are you wasting that money? The station will never be saved. But there's something about preserving it that causes potential investors to look at it differently. And then 2018, we went out for proposals. I said, for sure somebody's going to want this. And we couldn't get a viable project. So it stayed here secured. But pretty much everybody in town who develops apartments, I walk through here saying, why can't this work? An enormous amount of credit today goes to Governor Gretchen Whitmer. She's been over here with me, and MSHDA's support on this has been extraordinary. It's been the governor's personal commitment. Gary Heidel, the MSHDA director, who was very disappointed he couldn't be here because he doesn't want to have one more conversation with me about this building. And I'm really glad Chad Benson is here. But nothing about this could have been done without an extraordinary commitment from MSHDA. And then, even after that, we were still $7 million short. And we turned to City Council, and this is the benefit of President Biden and the American Rescue Plan funds, is it gives you a chance to do something. So what are we doing here? We have people in this city who are senior citizens who have raised their families. Maybe they want to move out their house. Maybe the rents in their neighborhood are growing. They might have Social Security or a small pension that they're living on. We want those folks who raise their family in this city to be able to be here in quality housing long term. And so you're going to have 117 senior apartments for people making less than $28,000 a year. This is going to be for our seniors who are on Social Security or on that small pension, and it's going to be a beautiful building, the kind of lifestyle that our seniors deserve. It took a lot of pieces in a lot of years, but we finally have an agreement that's on track. And what David Dorita has done on projects they said couldn't be done, the Metropolitan Hotel, there was a tree growing out of the roof of that building when I first saw it, and he and his firm have restored it to an absolutely beautiful hotel. And so if there's anybody who can take this building and make it into what it was the Roxbury Group, and I'm so pleased that they're here as our partner. But all of this was at a dead stop until City Council stepped in last week and put in the last $7 million in the American Rescue Plan money that allowed us to close this deal. And because of that, instead of demolition, we're going to have 117 seniors of lower income living in beautiful housing in just a couple of years. And let me introduce now, to represent council, one of the leaders in our affordable housing push, Councilman Coleman Young.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that wonderful opening. And I just wanted to start with a quote. It says that don't let the blight of the past get in the way of the bliss of your future. And look around you right now. This represents pure bliss. This not only represents promises made and promises kept, this also represents a path to prosperity, and it also represents an opportunity for us to cherish our senior citizens. Because society is judged based on how we treat our senior citizens. And you know, I have to tell you, when I look at this building that's been abandoned for over 20 years, I think of the things that happened prior to this moment. You think of the homeless people who came in here for shelter. You think of the drugs or the illicit, lethal drugs that were dealt. You think of people, God forbid, who had guns, who might have hid bodies or other things in this property. And for this to go from that peril to now represent the promise and prosperity of senior affordable living is a blessing. And I am so thankful and honored and humbled to be a part of it. So I want to thank you all on the dawn of a new beginning, a beginning of a new era in the city of Detroit for affordable housing and for making sure that we treat our seniors, one of the most vulnerable population, with the respect and decency that they deserve. And I want to end with this quote. It says, when you put love and skill together, expect a masterpiece, and we are living in the masterpiece of what the city of Detroit can be. So I just want to thank the mayor, I want to thank the Housing Revitalization Department, and all of you for making this dream a reality. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you again, Councilmember Young. You know, in our line of work, in our line of work, you wind up meeting a lot of government officials. And every now and then, you run into a person whose dedication to the cause and tireless work ethic truly make the word public servant have meaning. Joe Heafy and I have had the pleasure of working with a number of people in the course of the last 3 years who make that real. And I want to say just a quick word for Arthur Jemison, who could not be with us today, and I was delighted to see Katie Trudeau, who could. But another person who falls within that category would be the next person I'd like to have speak, which is Don Rencher. You know, Don and his team, like the man they work for, made getting this day to happen not an option, but a necessity, and tackled one challenge after another with vigor and professionalism. that serves the people of Detroit extremely well. I want to thank Don for the many evening and Saturday calls. And I also want to give a shout out to his entire team, including Kate Humphrey, Katrina Chavez, Kelly Vickers, Larry Catrinar, and everyone else at HRD who personifies the phrase, they don't get paid enough for that. So Don, I'd love you to have come forward and say a few. Thanks.
Thank you, David. Don't get paid enough for that. Okay. Just want to. It's a cold day, but it's a wonderful day. I think everybody who was a part of this project is amazingly happy right now that we're standing here today celebrating the announcement of this development project. I have to again double down on the leadership from Mayor Duggan. He expects a lot of our team, and I just want to say thank you to the team, specifically Kate Humphrey, Kelly Vickers, Julie Schneider, who's the director of the Housing Department, Katrina Chavez, who's been there from the beginning, of course, Kelly Vickers and Scott Brinkman. I just want to give that special thank you. Katie Trudeau, and again, as David said, with Arthur Jemison, started the process of acquiring and finished the process of acquiring this building, always believing that this development project could get done. Ethos Development and their expertise with David, we know that this project is going to see amazing times, two great developers coming together to do something amazing. So we're tremendously happy. My job as a group executive over housing, planning, and development is to ensure that we are bringing investment into neighborhoods and making sure the investments that we're doing are being done in an equitable way. And so when we have housing for the first phase, not only for people who are under 50% AMI, the $28,000 as the mayor mentioned, with the rental assistance contracts, individuals will also not be paying more than 30% of their income, which makes this very special. And so to look at this building, to restore this building to its past glory in a major corridor next to a wonderful high school where kids pass it every day, I think it shows that the city of Detroit is committed to investing not only to them, but into the neighborhoods in which they live and play and are in, right? So this is a special day. Again, Councilmember Coleman Young, thank you for supporting this as a 9-0 vote by City Council. I think they also show that this was an important deal and that we needed to move forward with it. And so I'm very happy about it and can't wait to see it get done. So thank you very much to everybody.
Get you guys out of here alive. Thank you, Don. You know, I've talked a lot when we've talked about with the team at HRD about kind of the three legs of the stool that are going to make this this project happen, that hold this up, and certainly the one very strong leg was the support we received from council this week. The other was the week or a couple weeks prior, and when it was announced that we were fortunate enough to receive a 9% LIHTC tax credit on this project, which was absolutely critical to its viability, and it will be paired with a 4% credit that we're hopefully will receive as well. And from the very beginning, this has been an engagement, and the mayor said it better than I could, from MISHDA, sitting down and understanding that this was not going to be a normal walk in the park, and that we were going to have to figure out how to stretch. And I can say that MISHDA has been there every step of the way, always asking the right questions. This was never a foregone conclusion, and really asking the questions about, tell us about the story of Lee Plaza, tell us why this matters, not just to save this building, not just for the 117 residents, but for the broader story. And I think they've helped us really connect those dots more effectively than we otherwise would. And of course, we can't thank them enough for their support. So I'd like to have Chad Benson come up and say a few words about their critical role here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, David. So on behalf of the governor and the administration and MISTA, I'd just like to say how excited we are to be a partner in this and to be a part of it. As David mentioned, I remember a few years ago walking through this building with David and his team and the city staff and looking around and standing in these rooms and imagining what they looked like when it was new, and at the same time visioning for what it would look like when it's transformed and made renewed. And then I remember during that same day going over to the city offices, sitting around a big table with a lot of people and brainstorming and visioning for what it was going to take to make that happen. And we all know that it takes a lot of resources, it takes a lot of commitment, and it takes a lot of partnerships to make that happen. And we're excited to be one of those partners in the deal, and we're excited to have all the good partnerships that we have to really make this happen. The resources from a MISTA standpoint, from a state agency standpoint that we're using in this development is the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program and the Tax Exempt Bond Program. And those are two extremely valuable resources that we have as a state to be able to take historic landmarks like this building and transform and renew them, not only into something that is made renewed for the building itself, but as the mayor mentioned, as David mentioned, as Donald mentioned, really transforming it into something that is going to be affordable housing, serving the critical need that we all know exists in the city of Detroit and throughout the state for the residents. So for that, I'd like to definitely congratulate everybody involved for getting it to this point, but also really congratulate the community and the citizens that are going to be able to enjoy this for years to come and really meet the need of the affordable housing that's necessary. So thank you.
So the solution to a quick program is 10 degrees, as it turns out. Our last speaker, I think, I'm really delighted to introduce. We always, when we enter a neighborhood, start with understanding who our neighbors are. And in this instance, we have already a wonderful anchor. And I've heard a lot lately about how this building's going to anchor the corner that it sits on, and it's going to be a beacon to the corner that it sits on. But that those statements, and it's true, but those statements overlook the anchor and the beacon that already is at this corner. And I'd like to, in a moment, introduce Kimberly Rogers, who's the principal of the school next door, and have her just say a few words about what this means to her community that passes this building every day. But we are just delighted to be able to grow off of that powerful light as we reach in both directions on Grand Boulevard, as well as north and south with this development. So if I could have the principal come up and say a few words, I'd appreciate it.
Good afternoon, and thank you. I echo those sentiments of it being very cold, so I will not stand between you and warmth very long. Good morning and afternoon. I am Kimberly Rogers, the proud principal of Detroit Collegiate Preparatory High School at Northwestern. So for years, our students' route to school was marred with witnessing the decay of this structure, along with facing the inherent dangers abandoned buildings pose. While I'm not able to provide a first-hand account of the splendor Lee Plaza once beheld prior to succumbing to degradation and vandalism, I can recall the stories of the gold-colored copper edifices, detailed architecture, and sound dwellings shared with me by my own family who lives in the neighborhood, community members, and my colleagues. So restoration of this property removes blight and eradicates the physical dangers and hazards presented from years of neglect for my families. I find it remarkable that an investment is being made to rid the city of an eyesore and restoring the beauty in our neighborhood. while simultaneously providing affordable housing to our senior community. Detroit Collegiate Preparatory High School at Northwestern is ready to embrace our new neighbors with open arms. We look forward to a brighter future at Lee Plaza and a safer route to school. Thank you.
Well, again, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Now, there's a few other accolades here. I just want to thank the team from Detroit Design, including Courtney, who I think is still in the room somewhere if she hasn't frozen to death, who transformed this space, along with our phenomenal construction team at Chrisman, as well as Artisan Construction, who jumped on this with about 3 days' notice to create the experience you see before us right now, because we certainly didn't take it for granted that we would be able to do this wonderful event today. So by all means, there's also warm, or should be hot, probably still now warm, coffee, courtesy of the Aloft at the David Whitney. Feel free to roam around within the spaces that you see non-cordoned off while you're still here. Take it in, because hopefully the next time you see it, it looks a lot more like these photographs. And so again, thank you all. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. And we really look forward to working together on this project.